consciousazine.com Chronicles. So, organic portals and friends, lots of friends, because it's a group hive mind. But have you ever noticed that in any system anywhere, the change ultimately is always begun by one part in the system, not just the group suddenly has the epiphany. It'll be one person, one part in any system will be having a phase state change. And it always seems to me to be the one versus the many. Big shout out to left side of the brain. Why? Because he's the only one so far out of all the organic portal videos I've just recently watched who's mentioned this. Who's said directly, organic portals will have a lot of friends. And I think one of his videos was something about having lots of friends, it means you're dumb. And I agree. Because you're not thinking for yourself. It's a dumb way of being. You'll always be thinking a lot more with your friend's mind. Or, as we know it, the group hive mind. So I have to agree, I have to reiterate this, and I want to make my own video with this. Yeah, the bitch men back each other up. I do notice that too. And they definitely run to cops quicker. But yeah, they back each other up. I don't need anyone to back me up because I have the word. I have the word. You all know what I'm talking about, what the word is. The gospel. If you're holding the gospel, I'm not a Christian, but if you're holding the gospel, I understand the notion of what that is. If you're holding the gospel, you don't need anyone to back you up. You're your own backup. Let's get rid of that. And that's how it's really the one versus the many. I find a lot of the time people disagree and then their friend will go, yeah, I disagree too. But why? Did you have your own minded thought that why you even disagree? Because often I notice they don't. It's like I disagree just because I disagree because this is the movement, this is the fad or the fashion. Because we've got to be positive minded, because if we even have a negative thought, that means we're like totally not positive, and like there's no reason to have like discernment. Because like in discernment you have to be positive. Have you noticed this? This is a great example, this whole positive thinking movement. Yeah, it's a really good idea to think positively and view the positive of a situation. But notice you're ignoring something. There's another half. The negative, yeah, it exists. So, thus you're ignoring it because you plain straight up saying, hey, don't be negative. But that's the other half of the coin, isn't it? We all know it's a duality universe. So that means there's two sides of the coin. And so if you're all like, oh, positive this, positive that, well, you're ignoring something. It's just like a lot of people are now finally, in the last year I've been on Facebook, a lot of people are embracing their dark side, I noticed. I went offline for a year, I come back to all this, so I really noticed the difference in what happened a year later now. And I noticed a lot more of my new agey type friends are embracing their dark side, and you know, it's true, a healer, an educator, you know, a teacher studies education, but a healer studies darkness. Yeah, it's an interesting quote. Yeah, so having lots of friends, I noticed that you're much more susceptible to getting trapped in fads or fashions. And what did we learn about fads and fashions from the time wave of Terence McKenna. What did we learn? We learned that they're fads, or that they fade. Big emphasis. Anyway, so I notice a lot of people with a lot of friends are very fashionable. Oh, black is the new black. Really? Okay. You know what I mean? Or yellow's the new black. You know that whole saying? Something's the new color or whatever in fashion, in the fashion world. But notice what a fashion and a fad is. It's a fad or something, a little epoch. It's just a little epoch, or a little creode of completion. But it completes and it finishes. So what I notice is that organic portals will have a lot of friends. You know, if you understand the group hive mind, and this is not a video about the hive mind, I will be making. Actually, I've made both of them. I've got 3 hive mind, matrix hive mind videos. 1 is uploaded, 2 more are to come. I've made them. They're coming. They'll be on YouTube, and you'll be listening to them soon. But I've noticed this is another great way to tell who is an organic portal, and the organic portal lifestyle really seems to be, you know, a lot of friends, and it's got to do with the group, and the group has to do with the hive mind. And also what I've noticed is that they love to group up, the many versus the one. It's like their supporters will unconsciously just do that. Well, they're the supporters of that person, I get it. But no, I don't agree. I get it, but I don't agree. Because if I have supporters, I don't expect you guys to necessarily stand up for me. You don't have to. I can look after myself because I come with the word and I roll deep. I don't need anybody to back me up. I am my own backup. So this is another great way to tell who's an organic portal. They'll have a lot of friends. They'll be very fashionable. And like their life seems to be about that, about fashion and fad. What's the latest fashion? What's the coolest thing to say? That type of lifestyle is an organic portal lifestyle because it's the surface virus that's jumping from nervous system to nervous system. I call it the surface virus, the beast riding the machine, and the surface virus. And you know, the surface virus is a cross-horizontal flow, whereas the universal river flow of light you can imagine going forward in a straight line. Then there is a cross-current. The cross-current is the surface virus, and that's what their lives are all about. They are the cross-current. Suffice to say that confuses things. They are attempting to halt the universe, trying to not still, but you know, like stop the universe, because I guess in some degree they feel their impending doom and they're trying to freeze time, I guess. Anyway, so I've noticed the metaphysical baton holders, they definitely do not just speak glib vacuities. I really want to emphasize not repeating stuff. If someone else has said it, try to leave it alone. Maybe you can integrate it into something, a larger theory, and that's why I'm against copyright, because that's, you know, stops that whole amalgamation of works, yeah, of corpuses. And really, at the end of history, we're trying to create a house of light, not just what you're meant to bring your corpus or your body of work. You know, like Einstein's corpus was the theory of relativity. That's his corpus, not corpse, but his corpus, his body of work, his great work. You know, his focus pocus magnus opus. So what I find is that the organic portals are completely the opposite. They're completely glib, vacuitous. bring no magnus opus, and it's completely a fashionable life. And you'll notice that they come and go really quickly. Recently, actually, yesterday, I watched a quick video on where are the famous people now, and I remember one of the people was, what's his name, Little Bow Wow, was it? Little Bow Wow, that rapper, like young kid guy who was in one of the videos with Snoop Dogg. Apparently he posted like a picture of him getting onto a jet, but he wasn't really getting onto the jet, and the whole video was about like a lot of people, a lot of like famous sort of, glibly famous, quickly in the spotlight famous people, and where are they now? And I thought that's a good example to bring up, because that's what organic portals do a lot. They're suddenly there and then they're suddenly gone. It's because they stuck like a fly to fly paper to the fashion, to the surface. See the deeper undercurrent in things, is my advice. And that's what, do you notice that every single great in history, all of them, all the great men, all of them, every single great man I can think of, was against fashion. They said absurd things. Did they not say absurd things? They all said things that were passing through that first stage of truth, yeah? Where truth is violently opposed. The first stage of truth. They were all like that, weren't they? Remember Leonardo da Vinci? He even called the people the ignorance. Look it up. That's what he called people. He said the ignorance. So he knew about the group hive mind. He knew about organic portals. He just didn't have the nomenclature of the moniker of OP, or organic portal. I used to call them sleepwalkers and societals. But I get organic portal, it's a better moniker because it's wider embracing. It embraces more concepts, more conceptus. So what I've noticed about the metaphysical baton holders, as I call them, the great men, is none of them were glib. They were all very deep. They're all very offensive. They were bringing things to the table that went against the current fad and fashion. You don't believe me? You look into it then. Look into it for yourself, Hint, hint, for yourself, not for your friends. So yeah, this is just another thing I've noticed, that organic portals have a lot of friends. It's definitely got an association with their anxiety. And that anxiety comes from the emptiness. By the way, if you stand barefoot and take your damn shoes off, you'll feel much less anxiety, because every 90 seconds the human body is checking for reference in the universe. And so every 90 seconds you're not connected to the earth electrically with your shoes off, because the bottom of your shoe has rubber on it, disconnecting you electrically, then it creates this anxiety. Your body goes, whoa, where am I? What's happening? Because you're disconnected. So connect back up. Stand barefoot, naked on earth. And it's about standing with your feet too, not just sitting down on your tailbone. A lot of people make that mistake. They say, oh, I can just sit on the ground, can't I, Ben? No, you need to connect the ball of the big toe, the K1, kidney 1 meridian, because that's soaking up Jing energy, which is primordial, like life force energy before it comes Chi or Qi in the bottom Danjian, in the stomach, essentially, or the gut brain, the chakra system down there. I mean, the bottom Danjian, which comes from that word Tan-Chen or Danjian, comes from Taoism. The Tao is known as the Tao, the eternal flow. So what I've noticed is organic portals have a lot of friends. I really do see it tied to an anxiety of confusion, and that they have no purpose. You know, I do believe we have something to instill in this dimension, because that is how the dimensional construct works. That's why I think that. What do I mean? The universe creates down dimensionally, and if you're a souled human, you're reaching up into the upper dimensions where your soul is, and you create down dimensionally. And I feel that these empty people, the dead people we call the organic portals, they don't have that. There's no purpose, there's nothing being brought to the table. So this is just another way to tell who's an organic portal.